What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. We have another very important message that it is that we are going to be speaking about in today's video that I am very excited to share with all of you, that I think is something that will absolutely open up the doors to a deeper understanding of specifically the Qlippoth, exactly what the Qlippoth is in relationship to the demonic realms and the demonic hierarchies as a whole. This is something that a lot of people have misconceptions on and misunderstandings on that I'm going to be sharing from personal experience. And really, this is some secret occult knowledge that a lot of high degree orders don't really want the collective to know. And there are reasons why that kind of branch out into different directions. But once again, I'm going to be sharing this as raw and as vulnerable as I can, because it's time that people start actually understanding and learning more about the occult and the darker aspects of it, specifically the Qlippothic realms. So if this is something that you are interested in learning a little bit more about, then I highly recommend that you stay tuned, and I will see you on the other side. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with today's video. So we are talking about the Qlippoth. So let's first start with the traditional understanding that most people associate with the Qlippoth. The traditional understanding that most people are associating with the Qlippoth is as if the Qlippoth is the leftover remnants of the Sephiroth, which is the tree of life. So we have this universal tree of life that consists of both the tree of life and the tree of death, the Sephiroth and the Qlippoth. Traditional understanding says the Sephiroth are going to be the divine emanations of God, and then the Qlippoth is going to be the husks and the shells that are left over from the junk of the divine creation. Basically all the repressed negative energy that is dualistic, that is evil, that is not pure, right? So this is the generalized traditional understanding of it. And if this is stuff that you want to learn more about, there's going to be tons of different people on YouTube that will give you a pretty strong educational basis on the Qlippoth in relationship to the Sephiroth. So you can do your own research with that. But with that being said, as someone like myself who's an actual occult practitioner, and as someone who is personal friends with other people that do this work, as well as someone who works with other people that are doing this real intimate work with the demonic realm and the Qlippoth, there is a completely different perspective that I have on what the Qlippoth is and what I believe the Qlippoth has always been, but in modern times, it has been very much so repressed and it has been demonized. So in reality, all things for example, like our planet Earth, at the density of consciousness that we're existing in, there is such thing as polarity. There is yin and there is yang. There is man, there is woman. There is up, there is down. So with that being said, the universal tree of life, which is reflecting aspects of our own DNA in relationship to our solar system, what this means is that there is also a polarity of our own genetic code. There is a polarity of our soul's development that does operate between masculine and feminine. And in a healthy world, we are going to find a unity, or we are going to find a balance between these two poles inside of our bodies, and we're going to express these two energies in an authentic way for who we are and what we're here to express. So the Qlippoth is nothing more than the primordial feminine polarity of the universal tree, whereas the Sephiroth is the primordial yang component of the universal tree. The Qlippoth is something contrary to popular belief that every single one of us has embedded within our DNA, just like none of us can escape the feminine polarity. We all have feminine energy as a part of our beings. Matter of fact, every single one of us was actually born from the womb of the feminine energy. From no thing, we became something, so to speak. So with that being said, the Qlippoth is a realm that, yes, consists of a lot of negatively polarized energies and a lot of what we can consider demonic energies as well as demonic hierarchies. And none of this is meant to be seen from the religious view of bad, unpure, and evil, but simply it's just showing us a different aspect of our own nature and a different aspect of self that every single one of us is truly connected to, whether we want to agree with that or disagree with it, whether you're conscious of it or unconscious of it. So in other words, no one can separate themselves or no one can avoid the Qlippoth because the Qlippoth is partly you. You are the universal tree of life in its totality. So the first place that we want to start is we want to start off with some form of acceptance for this aspect of self. So when we hear the word demons, when we hear the word Satan, when we hear the word devil, when we hear the word the Qlippoth, rather than attaching and associating a really dark, negative, separate from self, demonization energy to it, let's approach it with a form of self-acceptance and a reality check of this probably has some deep reflections within myself that could be very valuable to look a little bit deeper into, to know who I am or to better understand myself in relationship to the world around me. The Qlippoth is going to be the realm of initiation for people that absolutely are working with the darker parts of themselves. So when we talk about Carl Jung's general philosophy on shadow work, all of that education and everything that he taught, which is mass collectively adopted, that is Qlippothic energy. That is Qlippothic work. That is initiatory type of energy, working with the demonic realm, working with the Qlippoth. So every single one of us has our own shadow. We have a deep portion of our unconscious mind that is stuff that we haven't yet explored, but still exists inside of us. When we go through certain types of traumas in our past, or even up to past lives within our family generation, this leaves memories and emotions as well as sensations that get stored within the body at a nervous system level that then becomes repressed. That is also stuff that we can find in the shadow, in the deep unconscious. So when we are approaching the Qlippoth, what is it that we're actually approaching? We are approaching a structured system of soul development that works on all of the different energetic centers within the body, all the way from the root to the crown, that is also going to bring us through a practical level of human shadow work and a necessity to be able to see, feel, and experience the sensations and memories of traumas from our past. The Qlippoth is largely also associated with the fragmentation that we go through from the trauma in our past. Qlippoth, once again, referring to shells. Every one of those shells is also a representation of a certain fragmentation that we've had to create for ourselves to protect our own vulnerability. So imagine you go through some trauma in your past, really scary situation. From that moment, you had to block off your vulnerability. You had to block off your authenticity because you felt like if you were going to continue being authentic, you weren't going to be loved. You were going to get hurt even more. You were going to be misled and further abused. So therefore, you created a shell of a personality. You created a shell of a mask or of an identity that then became a part of you through fragmentation, and that became the new you. This became who you think you are and what you are currently identifying with yourself as. Now, what I'm explaining here is something that every single one of us, all of you listening, have experienced to some degree, whether you're aware of it or not. So imagine how many people are currently in a shelled state of being in regards to attaching to certain protector parts of themselves, and they are unconscious that that's what they're doing. And they don't understand that the beauty of life lies inside of the yoke, which is when we get to kind of dissolve the shell and then get to the center of that yoke so we can actually get in touch with our authentic self or with our true self. In IFS, internal family systems, they call that the central self. In spirituality, we call it the higher self connection. Whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. But that's the whole goal. So the Qlippothic realm, rather than being an evil realm of unpure energy and the realm where everything is separated, it's not that. It's the realm where we suppress everything. It's the realm where everything exists that we as humans call evil because we don't actually fully understand what it truly is yet. We haven't integrated that yet. We haven't had that level of experience to have that wisdom and understanding to know what that is. So the Qlippoth is a doorway to some of the deepest forms of liberation of self, the doorway to some of the deepest proponents of dissolving the false self connections that we have, the unhealthy coping mechanisms, all of the different aspects of our life that are not really in alignment with who we truly are. So the Qlippoth is the doorway and is an initiatory soul system that we go through to get back in touch with our authentic self, our primordial yin energy, which is that energy that stemmed from the void and then became infinite in nature from that source connection. Every single one of us was born from the void of the universe, of this universe. We came from the no thing into a thing from the void. And the Qlippoth brings us back to that void inside of ourselves to see that we are still worthy, we are still lovable, and we are power at that void state. We're worthy of love there. We're worthy of support. We are enough there in the void state. I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have to behave a certain way. I don't have to step outside of myself to be worth something, to be loved, to be accepted. This is the nature of what the Qlippoth teaches. Now, of course, the deeper we are going into the Qlippoth and we're working with these different shells, the more it's bringing us through the death cycle. This is why it's called the tree of death. The more we're having to deconstruct, the more we're having to let go, the more we're having to dissolve, the more we're getting in tune with just being who we are. And then from the central self, that's where we get to tune into our natural instincts and our intuition, which guides us exactly where it is that we need to go when we need to go there. And it's automatic. It's already a part of our authentic self connection. But it becomes a practice of learning how to connect with the authentic self, because when we've spent so many years separated from that, we forget what that connection is like. And it's a little bit scary to return back to it, because then that means we have to feel everything that we've been repressing. And that's where the big shadow work component goes into all of this. And that's why the Qlippoth is known as Universe B, working with the deepest parts of the shadow, which every single one of us as human beings experience. Do we not all have a shadow? Do we not all have to work through trauma? We do. The Qlippoth exists inside of you. Okay? So this is very important to understand so that we can approach the Qlippoth in a healthier way. Not everyone is meant in this lifetime to approach the Qlippoth as an occultist does. Not everyone is meant to be performing rituals and doing invocations of demons in order to channel the energy in the body to further work with the shadow. Not everyone's ready for that, because not everyone has capacity for that yet. And that's completely okay. It's completely understandable. But everyone would gain value from at least accepting it for what it is and realizing that the Qlippoth, as well as the demonic realm, does have an influence in your life, whether you're aware of it or not. It is important to allow that energy through your system when it naturally shows up in your life, which it will. The more you're going to resist it, the more you're going to try to create a false belief system around it to suppress it and make it out to be something that it's not, the more you're only fighting yourself. And I'm sharing this with you so that you can use this to your advantage. My intention is I want you to heal. I want you to live the life that you're truly here to live. I want you to feel good in life knowing that you're being you and that you're in resonance with your highest potential. That's my intention. All right. So the Qlippoth is that system of initiation that all of us are a part of. But if you're an occultist like myself, who has a little bit of a higher capacity to be able to work with these energies, the Qlippoth for people like us is going to be a tool system that we can continuously visit and we can enter ourselves into to literally go through a form of development that is a very deep form of transformation. Remember, every single one of those Qlippothic spheres is going to be connected to a planetary energy. Every single one of those archetypal paths is not only going to represent a significant archetype within our psyche, but also reflecting things in space as well, astrologically speaking. We are channeling all of those different energies into our nervous system, and every single one of those spheres connects to one of those energetic layers of our energy field, all the way from the root to the crown. So when we work with the Qlippoth, we are refining these energetic centers. For a lot of us, we are opening them up for the first time in a long time where they've been really closed off. They've been really blocked. But what you have to understand is that the Qlippoth requires commitment. It requires commitment to self for someone who's going into it, because it is not going to be easy. I will tell you from firsthand experience, the Qlippoth has been the most transformative initiatory practice that I have ever worked with myself, but it has also put me in positions that, I'll be honest with you, I don't think most people can handle. It's just that simple. It's to go and approach it the way that I have through initiation. I don't think most people can handle it. I think there are for sure people that can, and I work with a lot of people during my mentorship calls to help guide them through their understandings of working with the Qlippoth and initiating through it while having a foundation. These are people that I feel are going to do very well with it and are going to use it to transform in a very healthy way and then ultimately have an influence on the collective consciousness. But I think the average person is not ready for it, just straight out the gates. I also think there's a lot of people that are using the Qlippoth as sort of a trend. So the more that it's becoming talked about in the collective consciousness, the more you're hearing about it on TikTok and little shorts like this with people that are not actually committed to themselves and are actually doing that real deep shadow work. And when I say that, I mean like shadow work to the point where it's almost like you're facing death at certain times, because you're having to face these repressed parts of self that are so scary to face that it literally feels like you're going to die. You know, for people that aren't actually doing that work and they're not grounding themselves and they're not creating a foundation to support it, there's a lot of people that are using the Qlippoth as a trend. I'm just going to jump into the Qlippoth and my life is going to change. Oh, I initiated the Qlippoth a year ago and I think I'm going to initiate it again. I'm going to initiate it again. I'm going to initiate it again. It's like, how are you going to initiate the Qlippoth and your life hasn't even really transformed? Like, how are you still addicted to all these unhealthy coping mechanisms? You're still in an unhealthy relationship and you're basically homeless. And you said you've initiated the Qlippoth 2 years ago and that you took it really seriously, and now you're still where you're at. What is it that you're not connecting? What dots are you not putting together? What is it that you're not seeing that is keeping you in this position where you're experiencing all this catalyst in your life? You know, it's not fun to be homeless. It's not fun to be in these toxic relationships. It's not fun to be riddled with different addictions. You know, that's serious stuff that requires real shadow work to work through and to heal and to integrate into the system. It takes real shadow work to be able to start a business and be successful with it, or to do something where you have some form of financial support or freedom. It takes real work to have healthy relationships in your life where you can have open and honest communication with other people and feel like you can have that support in that way. It takes real work to do that. So there's a lot of people that are using the Qlippoth as a trend, and then they're talking about it as if they know about it when they really don't. So don't be fooled by that. The Qlippoth is not a joke. It's not a game. It's the real deal. And another thing that I've come to notice is the Qlippoth is a current of energy. Remember, it already resides inside of our DNA. It's a part of the universal tree. So when people start to really take their working seriously, working with the demonic realm through invocation as well as ritualistic practices, guess what? What I found is a lot of people get pulled into the Qlippoth unconsciously. Because when you're working with the arch demonic rulers of the Qlippoth, as well as the Ars Goetia, which are interassociated, you're channeling energies that are Qlippothic in nature. So it's very easy that people can be pulled into a current, just like you think of a lazy river. You go into a lazy river and then you just start flowing down and you don't have to do anything. It's like a current of energy. When you do these invocations, you're taking it really seriously. You're doing that deep shadow work. Guess what? You're working with the Qlippoth. You might not be aware that you're working with the Qlippoth, but that's what you're doing. And that's a really powerful thing to know for those of you that are serious practitioners, because if you're working with these Qlippothic energies and then someone comes out that kind of views the Qlippoth as if it's just a trend or something, and then they tell you, oh, you haven't initiated the Qlippoth yet. You don't even know what you're talking about. You're not that powerful as a person or whatever. It's like, no. Who are you? You're not committed to the process. I'm committed to the process. Me being me and being authentically what I am, committing to myself and connecting with these energies, I am the Qlippoth. I am the embodiment of these energies that I connect with. It doesn't matter if I've traditionally or ceremonially initiated this system to be considered, I have the degree, I have the title of the Qlippothic, occultist or initiate, whatever. That's bullshit. Okay, it's about self-commitment. It's about authenticity. It's about, are you doing the real shadow work underneath? And once again, there is a lot of serious practitioners that are working with the Qlippoth that may not even know that they're actually working with it. And it's always a really fun thing to be able to kind of connect with people that I can tell are working through the Qlippoth. Like they're literally going through initiations, but it's just a flow. It's just, there's no need to have to really understand it. Now, obviously, the more you study it and understand it, the more you're going to be able to be a teacher of it, because you're going to actually be able to communicate it in a certain way where people can grasp it. That's why I learned how to study it and was led to going into it in that type of way, because I'm a teacher of this art. But once again, it's a really cool thing to notice the Qlippoth in that way. And once again, remember, we all are working with our Qlippoth. So we're all experiencing those different demonic energies and those different spheres at different points in our life when it requires us to go through the death cycle, when it requires us to face our shadow, when it requires us to process repressed emotions that are rooted in trauma. And it's a beautiful system. It leads to healing. Like, this is literally what it's about. From death, there is rebirth. From the cocoon, there is a butterfly. You cannot, look, from a storm, you have a rainbow. Literally, nature shows us this. You cannot heal at your deepest level without having some form of a relationship with that negative yin polarity within self. So the people that are working with the Qlippoth are literally getting some of the deepest forms of healing within the unconscious to be able to resolve and release stored negative emotions and memories and healing wounded parts of self. It is a beautiful thing. Every single person that I know that is a real occult practitioner that connects with some of the darkest energies and are doing the real integrations, they are literally some of the most genuine people that I know. They are some of the most authentic, genuine, kind, wanting to help types of people that I know. Not saying that we're perfect, not saying that they're perfect. We all have our flaws and our differences and different things that we're working through interpersonally, but I'm just being honest about this. It's just a reality. So once again, modern times, Qlippothic description, They make it sound evil. They make it sound like the underworld. They make it sound like the leftover remnants of the divine creation, right? They make it sound like the trash can, when in reality, it's not that whatsoever. It's the roots of the tree. You cannot have the tree if you don't have the primordial roots first. So let's see it for what it is. And we're moving into a day and an age right now in the collective consciousness with occultism specifically, which is a large portion of my audience and the people that I attract to my channel, where the Qlippoth is becoming more understood. This is the Luciferian light of the darkness that has been repressed in the collective. The Qlippoth is not evil. It is not bad. It is a tool system that literally anyone, if they wanted to, could take advantage of and go through initiation or go through different forms of path working or go through different forms of invocation and experience deep levels of healing. But make sure you're conscious of what you're getting yourself into. Make sure you educate yourself, because just because it can lead to a lot of value and healing and improvements in your life does not mean you're ready to go into it. Doesn't mean you have that proper foundation yet to be able to work with these energies in a healthy way, because it is intense. And when we are working with the psyche in that type of way, it requires some sensitivity. It requires, kind of a gentle process of taking one step at a time into that unknown. Think about it like taking a psychedelic. You take 28 grams of mushrooms for your first time in one go. That shit might have you gone for months. You may never come back to yourself again and have a grounded way of understanding self. That's the same idea. We don't want to approach the Qlippoth without general education or without some form of a foundation of what we're working with and what to expect going into it. We want to, let these things come through in a more healthy way. So this is the message that I wanted to communicate with this video. Hopefully this could open your eyes and open up your perspective to a new understanding of what the Qlippothic tree actually is and how important it is to have a balance between this Qlippothic aspect of self as well as the Sephirothic aspect of self. The balance between that primal yin and yang, the angelic and demonic, all of it is important. Embrace all of it. All right, so with that being said, this is where I'm gonna wrap it up. If you enjoyed this, slam the thumbs up button, drop down into the comment section and let me know how this influenced you. Share your perspective of working with the Qlippothic tree. I know there's gonna be people that are initiates of the Qlippoth that are here right now, so share your perspective. Give everyone else in this comment section an idea on what the Qlippoth is for you or what it's like for you. Hit the notification bell. Make sure you're getting notified whenever I'm posting content. I'm literally posting content every single day at this point, so take advantage of it. Make sure you're getting notified. And if for some reason you're hitting the notification bell and you're not getting notified, then just undo it and redo it again. See if that works. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, because the more that you subscribe, the more you're going to actually energetically connect to what I'm teaching. All right. Copy and paste this link, send it to your social media platforms, post short clips of this if you feel like it's offering value and it could offer value to your collective, and also send it to a friend. If you know someone that wants to hear this or needs to hear this, I encourage you to send it to a friend. Now I'm going to take your awareness to the most important link within the entire description itself. This is the Patreon. I have so much exclusive content only for the Patreon members, organized in all different collection sections. I have an entire revamped magic training course that is 8 hours long, which is literally like going to college for occultism for both beginners and advanced practitioners. All of this is finished. It's ready. It's on the Patreon, but it has not yet been released. So it's going to be released in the near future. I have a specific date that I'm going to be releasing everything that I'm still contemplating on at this moment, but it's going to for sure be coming into the near future. Collection sections going into demons in the Qlippoth, deeper education, angels in the Sephiroth, working through trauma and shadow work, understanding how to learn about astrology, reading your natal birth chart, as well as reading the tarot cards. All of this organized on the Patreon. I highly encourage you to check it out. Tier number 3 and 4 gives you access to something really unique. This is a ritual service, which is the only ritual service that I offer for my collective. It's called the Universe B Ritual. This is an energetic transfer from me to you on the 29th of every single month that has one. It's designed to support you through some of the deepest working and integration of your unconscious mind so that you can go in there, start surfacing some repressed emotions, processing them in a healthy way, and then ultimately merging with your shadow so that you become one with it, so that your shadow can start operating in your daily life in a healthy way and working with you rather than giving you unnecessary resistance, which is what a lot of people experience. There's so much value from it. There's about 300 active members that take place in this ritual service every single month reoccurring. I've been doing this for over a little bit of 3 years right now, and there is tons of valuable positive feedback that I've also received from the members that have received this ritual service. So if this is something that you want to tap into, I encourage you to do it. It's at the first link below. Now in the second link, this is where you can book a one-on-one call, or it's where you can jump into mentorships. I have a 6-week mentorship and I have a 3-month mentorship. This is literally going to be the most intimate way to work with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get to know you personally. We're going to be able to go into some of your trauma history and identify some of the repressed negative emotions that are in your system right now. I'm going to help you create a unique foundation for yourself that's going to help you process that trauma and regulate your nervous system. Once we have that in place, if you're interested, then what we can start going into is occult initiation. So we can actually go through the process of Qlippothic initiation or Sephirothic initiation, depending on where you are and what you're interested in. All right, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely consider it. I work with people from all over the world. Currently, my schedule is completely full, but that doesn't mean that if you book, I can't find a way to fit you in, because I always do. So all of that's in the second link below. All right. Now in the same second link, this is where you can book a tarot card reading with Alexia. She is a very gifted tarot card reader. She can pinpoint what you're currently going through in your life right now, and then what to expect as you're moving into your near future, helping you better understand how to shift into it and also what to expect. So if this is stuff that intrigues you, the second link is where you can book that tarot card reading. Now the third link, this is a LUCIFERS Foundation course. This is a step-by-step course that gives you everything you need to know to develop a healthy yet powerful relationship with the energy of Lucifer. Tons of people have purchased it, people are still buying it, and there's tons of positive feedback for everyone that's utilized it and has followed through the steps. So if you're interested, definitely check it out. The fourth link is going to be the YouTube memberships. This is where you can join into the Universal Mastery family. I would love to have you a part of this family. Okay, it really is like a family. It's a group of really committed individuals that are honoring their inner process and are very supportive for everyone else who's involved. So if you want to become a part of this collective and a part of this family, I would absolutely love to have you in there. Your name's going to appear as green. You're going to have a special badge right next to your name. You get shout outs as well. I would love it. It's the fourth link below. Now in the fifth link, this is going to be my book recommendations for you. It's a 4 ebook bundle you gain immediate access to that gives you everything you absolutely need to know about the fundamentals of occultism that can be used as tools for the rest of your spiritual journey. These are accessible through the ebooks immediately when you purchase. There's also a link right below it for the physical copies on Amazon. Okay, these are literally my go-to books as well. So if this is something that you feel like is valuable, I would encourage you to also take advantage of that as well. Now, with that being said, this is where I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate all of you very much, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.